For a while, but
All right.
This is a front desk.
Well, good.
you never know.
Good evening, everybody. Wanted to thank you for coming out tonight for our regularly scheduled city council meeting. If you could all stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for that. If we can get a roll call, please.
Mayor Bellinger,
Here?
Mayor Pro Tem Hagan,
Here?
Councilmember Engel,
Here.
Councilmember Walker,
Here.
Councilmember Stroman.
Here. Thank you. First up, we have presentations. We have our Citizens of the Month, which is going to be our Senior Fun Bunch. So I'm going to call out some names. If you want to join us at the podium here, please. Just a few names here. So we have Sherry Francischetti, Tina Jensen, Cindy Marino, Peggy Rocha, Ann Shaddix, and Louise Tilbury. If you guys could come on up and join us here for a quick minute. Our Senior Fun Bunch group, they've been out here for about 5 years now. You guys do a great job. These certificates here are being awarded to members of the Escalon Senior Fun Bunch leadership team in recognition of the remarkable service, enthusiasm, and the countless hours spending time planning, organizing, and hosting events for the Escalon Senior Fun Bunch. They've not only helped to provide entertainment, but have also fostered a sense of community and belonging among Escalon senior population, which has helped improve their mental and physical health, as well as their morale. Their tremendous effort, which has helped the Escalon Senior Fun Bunch grow from about 25 to more than 50 seniors in Escalon, has not gone unnoticed and has earned them the title of Citizens of the Month. And on behalf of the City Council and the City of Escalon, I'd like to present you guys some certificates, if you don't mind. Not sure, we're missing some people here, so. And Lois, and Sherry. That's for you, Ann. Peggy. Cindy, thank you very much. Tina, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Sorry. So you can take care of getting Sherry and Lois? Okay, great.
And we want to get a quick picture with you guys up here at the front, if you don't mind.
Can we go back here?
Get up.
Stand up for a little while.
I'm gonna get out of the way.
Please don't go anywhere. We have Supervisor Rickman in the house. He also has something for you.
Portraits in the mall.
I'm going to turn the mic over to Supervisor Rickman here.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and City Council, for allowing me to be here. And instead of 5 people looking at me, I have a whole group of people now. Wasn't nervous before, now I am a little nervous. Hey, it's great to be here back in Escalon. It's great to see you all once again. It seems like I see you all at least once a week now. But on behalf of the Board of Supervisors and San Joaquin County as a whole, it's my pleasure presenting a certificate of recognition to Escalon Senior Fun Bunch in recognition of your 5-year anniversary. Formed in 2019 as an independently managed ministry of Sharon Lutheran Church of Escalon to support and empower the senior population of Escalon through social events, education, and keeping seniors active and involved in the community. In addition to monthly meetings where seniors socialize and make new friends, the Escalon Fun Bunch singers provide entertainment throughout the community, and the senior steppers meet weekly for group walks. All Escalon seniors are welcome to join this group, which is over 200 active members, which is absolutely great. The Escalon Senior Fun Bunch has created a social support network and a culture of belonging, promotes good health, and provides valuable and pertinent information to Escalon seniors, improving their quality of life. Congratulations and keep up the great work. Signed today's date by Robert Rickman, District 5 Supervisor.
Sure.
All right, let me see. Oh, look at that. I got everybody's, well, almost, okay, now I got everybody's. Say, I don't know, chicken cheeseburger or something. Oh, that was a good smile. Thank you.
One more, guys, sorry.
One more? Okay.
1, 2.
Thank you, appreciate it. See you Thursday.
I'd just like to give a couple of thoughts about, it kind of takes a village to do this, and even though the 5 of us work really hard and organize and plan and have fun for the Fun Bunch, we couldn't do it without a few people that have always been super supportive, like you, the City Council. You've been supporting us now for 5 years, and we really appreciate it. We couldn't do this without the use of the community center, so thank you very much for, supporting us. Jalen, since you've come on board, you've been very, very supportive. Thank you. Justin, we couldn't do it without your crew. Sometimes we call Justin or some of his people like at a moment's notice, and they always come with a big smile on their face, and they help us, whether it's with the stage or with the microphone or with the AC or whatever it is. So the piano, we really, really appreciate all that you've done for us. And of course, Mr. Rickman, we really appreciate the financial support that you gave us recently. So thank you very much, and we hope to do this for many, many years to come. I think that we still have some energy left, but one day when we decide to take a seat and join the fun that the Fun Bunch members are having, then maybe we'll have a younger crew that will take over after us. But for right now, we plan to do this for a long time and make the Fun Bunch thrive. And we do have, I think our last meeting, we had 80 members at our event. So we do have 200, close to 200 on our newsletter list, but the people who actually come, we've made it up to 80 people. So we're very, very proud of that. So thank you again for this honor.
Oh, thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Keep growing those numbers.
Yes. May I say something?
Please.
So, to the Fun Bunch leadership team, I just want to say, you're an inspiration because most people, most seniors want to slow down. And I don't see you guys slowing down at all. In fact, you kind of run laps around us younger folks. And just really appreciative of everything you do for the senior community. So keep it up.
All right, next up, we have a library update. Who's got that one tonight?
Okay, Mayor, thank you. Carrie Leos, the new Escalon Library Branch librarian, was unable to make it last minute today, but she did want to share a couple of thoughts that I will just read. First, their summer reading program was well received with 2,389 logs turned in and a total of 13,303 books read. So that's an increase of 3,034 books from last summer. They attribute the success to the wonderful community connections they're forming and some of the events. They did host a foam party that was held in Main Street Park as the kickoff event for the summer reading program. And throughout the summer, they hosted 61 programs with approximately 6,500 people in attendance. Couple of other items they want to share. Notable was the movies on Main Street, which were 6 outdoor Friday night movies, again in Main Street Park, sponsored by various nonprofits. That was funded through the library programming. They acknowledged some technical and logistical glitches, which were worked through, but generally we received positive comments from the community about the programming. They do have a little bit of a challenge. They only have 2 full-time staff and are looking for another organization to run this program into the future. So that's something that we will be talking with them about to see if we can continue it either next summer or throughout the year, weather dependent, of course. Lastly, they are excited to receive funding from the county to repair the significant roof damage. So it needs a new roof, and there was some wall damage from the roof leak. So the county did set aside $300,000 for that work. We have offered in this partnership to manage the construction part of it, funded through the county. So we'll be partnering on that here shortly. Monies are set aside. We're starting the process to put it out to bid, get a contractor on board, and then manage that contract. So some good partnership between the city and the library. We want to continue that going. And so Carrie wanted to be here. Unfortunately, she could not be here, and that is her update.
Thank you for that update. Looking forward to getting that roof fixed before the winter hits for sure. Next up is our consent calendar. These items are considered routine in nature and are acted upon by a single action unless requested by an individual council member or member of the public for special consideration. Is there anything here at the dais that we would like to pull for our consent calendar tonight? Anybody at the audience that had any concerns with the consent calendar? Was there something you wanted to pull from the consent calendar? Yes, number 2. All right. Let's go ahead and I'll take a motion on item 3 then.
3 and 4.
I'm sorry, number 4.
Number 4? Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve item number 3 of the consent calendar.
I would second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Please come to the podium. What is your question on item 4 of the consent calendar?
So this is for the Register of Demands. I just had a few questions. The body cameras, is that new equipment that was purchased?
No, so it's through Axon, and it's an annual contract. We've had them for, I want to say 2 years. This is our 3rd year.
So it's for the software program?
It's for software, hardware, so it's a lease program. So every 2 years we get brand new equipment, but it's a flat fee. It's a 5-year contract. Halfway through the contract, we get new equipment, and then it also includes all the software monitoring, storage space for the videos, because they're talking several hundred gigabytes and sometimes into the terabytes worth of storage. So it's cloud storage, video access, and there's video editing software. So if we're releasing videos to the public, we can redact it and stuff like that. So it encompasses a wide range of.
So it's an ongoing annual fee?
Yes.
Okay. Also, I see that there seems to be parking citation fees. Is not for the police, or maybe it is, I don't know. Do we know who's getting citations and why? They're about $400 to $500 a month?
Well, no, so our citations are processed through it's called data processing out of Huntington Beach. So anytime we write a parking citation, it all goes through this company to process everything. And then payments made to them, and then they pay us.
So this isn't somebody from our city getting citations in San Joaquin County?
It's a processing service for the citations that our officers are writing.
Okay, actually 2 more things. So Linda, on this page, the monthly treasurer's report, is there, are we able to have the individual amounts, or is there a particular reason why it just gives the total at the bottom, and then the lighting and landscape, we get the total?
Individual amounts for each fund is shown here, so that's how it breaks it down.
What part of the demand, where is this at?
And just to be clear, we're in tab 5 now, under the treasurer's report.
Oh, we haven't got there yet.
Okay, sorry, I had it all together. I will wait then.
Well,
Which page does that correlate to?
Tab 5 starts page 33.
33.
5A.
Oh, okay.
If there's no other questions on item 4, I'll take a motion on that.
I will approve, or I make a motion to approve the register of demands for August 19th, 2024 in the amount of $1,387,154.05.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Staff communications and updates. Who is going to start tonight?
all right, I will start. Mayor, thank you. A couple of items. First, you will see a new face to my right. Joanna Jin is stepping in for Frank. Frank is on vacation today, so we do have his partner from BBK with us today. Wanted to provide an update on the ballot box, the drop box that will be installed at City Hall. That work is ongoing. We did have our staff clear the landscaping for the location that was approved by the council a couple of months back, and install should be in the next 15 to 30 days, I think, in time for when the election starts. Just want to notify the public of that. The thought is then that the current box at Orlando's will no longer be, and it'll just be one in front of City Hall. So new face to the right, departing person to the left. We did receive notice this week that Jenny will be leaving the city, unfortunately for us. She's found a new job at the city of Oakdale. Sounds like it is a great opportunity for her and her family. We certainly wish her well. We are sad to see her leave. She's done a very, very good job in the city clerk role in a very short amount of time. But I did want to share with the council, you will not see her next meeting. So we wanted to make it known this meeting.
Then, wish you all the best.
Can I ask a quick question?
Please.
So on the box front, there will be cameras, right? And these cameras, my understanding is the public can access those cameras.
That is what we understand. So the box will be open, so to speak, for the 29-day election period. It will be surveillanced 24 hours a day, 7 days a week during that 29-day period. And what we understand is that is available to the public at any time. It's basically like a live stream.
And if there was a grievance, hypothetically speaking, that would go to chief? Or would that go to you? Or
I think it would depend on what type of grievance was located or found, and then we could
Go from there.
coordinate with our voters to coordinate any follow-up process that was needed.
Okay, thank you. Obviously, we hope nothing happens, but I'd just like to know for the public's sake.
Yep.
Jalen, would we be able to grab the hyperlink from the Registrar of Voters website and add it to the city's website as well?
Perhaps. Let me look into the detail for that. I mean, I certainly have no problem sharing that if that's sort of a shareable link, or we can provide that on our website. So that's all for me. I'll turn it over to that side of the dais.
Hello, everyone. I do see where item 5A on the back side, we have a printing error on that. It is missing all of the detail on the line. So we do have a PDF with all the numbers on there that would show the fund balances. So I can get that in a packet and we'll get that corrected. We also have a report showing actuals versus budget for the month of July. And a little bit of August too, on the pages that follow. There's quite a lot of information provided here, but because it's simply the first part of August, we only have July and then a little bit of August, which also will be paying some of the July invoices. That's just the cycle of business. There's not a whole lot to see yet, but as the months progress, we will have more. It does show that we're following along our budget quite nicely. And so far, I'm not finding any more printing errors. We had an issue with our PDF print. We were putting this together. I can see we have some little highlighted colors in there, and so it looks a little funny. We'll see. If there's anything missing, we'll be sure to go through and get it corrected before it hits the website. But were there any questions on the report?
Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
I did have one question.
Please.
Okay. I'm looking at the budget. It appears that we've had some totals that were not accounted for in the budget, and I'm just wondering, are those just a fluke, or one of them, it says insurance, under adopted budget, there's just a dash, but we're already at $120,986. This is on page 35.
Okay. The way that the insurance portion is allocated out to all the different funds, it'll sit there in insurance for about a quarter. And then all those expenses get funneled down into all the different funds and the enterprise funds and things of that nature. So that is typically going to end up being zero at the end of the year. Because all
So
those
there's
funds
a-
get portioned out.
There's a few others as well. Civic Center Police Department, City Hall, Legislative. It just doesn't look like, if you look under the second to last column of adopted budget, did we not account for that, or is it in a different category?
It's
or-
because they're going to be zero. So any type of expense in those areas are going to be allocated out to all the other funds based on a percentage that's predetermined by their expenses that they had the previous year.
So they're just in a negative now because they're
It's
in
just
that
sitting there because we've got
category.
some money in there waiting, and at the quarter, we'll portion that out. There's going to be quite a bit of it.
Okay.
It's usually maintenance or what might be considered cap charges for all the business of keeping this particular building going, and the insurance and all that other type of stuff that goes in there. It'll get spread out to everybody.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so July was a pretty uneventful month, thankfully. So not a whole lot going on. We had Park Feet. Park Feet was pretty uneventful. The only kind of incidents that happened during Park Feet happened outside the venue. And we posted the officer's position, and that closes on the 23rd. As of right now, I believe we've got one applicant. So if anybody knows anybody who's interested in a career in law enforcement, we are hiring. And then this last month, Officer Palomino led the department in arrests with 19, and also he had the most citations with 35 citations.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. A few updates and some information for you. As far as some of the projects, the Kerrigan lift station on First Street's moving along quite well. We actually did a lot of the testing today, filled it up with some water, and not sewage water, so if it didn't go right, it wasn't bad for us. So, but luckily, everything went well. So that's still on track. Hopefully, next few weeks, they get the road buttoned up and they're out of there. You'll also notice on St. Clair, we have started our water line replacement. A little short section there that they're repairing. That started on Friday. We should go through the week and into some of the time next week. Also, maybe you'll notice the island on Escalon Blota sure is coming along really well. We've got a lot of the hardscape done now. So now we'll get some of the signage and the painting and all that as it sees fit. We'll get that put in there. Also, they started the gate process last week for the high school and plan to finish that this week as well. You'll also notice today crack sealing began in Escalon. It was originally supposed to be starting next Monday, but they called last week. Were able to get in earlier if we were able to fit it in, and we didn't see any issue with it as long as they were letting everybody in the areas know. So we're working close to them. They still are on track the week of the 26th to start the micro seal. Also, too, just want everybody to be aware, on August 27th, which is a Tuesday, they will be in front of the high school doing that section, but they will not be starting that section until approximately 9, and the road should be prepared and ready to go, hopefully by lunch, but by end of day for sure be opened up, so hopefully we don't hinder too much other than some of the kids parking on Yosemite there for the day. Also, you might see, we have, I wouldn't say recently, it's been a couple months now, we started a little pilot program out at the wastewater treatment plant for weed control. So we have since hired Western Grazers where we're able to get some sheep and goat to get more organic for the state. It's kind of hard for us to use a lot of chemicals out at the plant with the groundwater, with the testing we do. So we're really just trying to think of certain ways, and we kind of came up with a way to see how the goat and sheep will do, and they've been fantastic. Since then, here in the last week, we've started kind of moving them into town, some of our treatment pond, or some of our basins in town. Just so everybody knows, the goats and the sheep are well fed, obviously. They have plenty of water. There's an individual checking on them every day. So if there are any concerns or issues, please give us a call and we'll address it right away. But it's been a pretty successful program for us so far, so I'm happy with that. Also, Last Farmers Market is coming up this Wednesday, so hope everybody can make it out and check that out. I hear they're trying to pack it in pretty full for the last one. Looks like the weather's going to be fantastic for us too, so hope to see everybody out there for that. And we started soccer this weekend, a little over 900 kids out at Hogan Park this week, so other than a few little minor things here and there, it seems like everything went well, and I think that's where we're at for now. Any questions?
I have a question
Yes, sir.
regarding the street repair in front of the high school. Is there any way that that work can happen after school lets out?
We have tried, and with the complications of the contractor and with the fee, we felt like it was best to do it the time it's doing it. As right now, it is not an option, though. It would be quite of a change order in order to do so because of the equipment.
I'm just concerned that we're going to have a mess with drop. I understand if they start at 9 o'clock, but I'm just concerned that we're going to get umpteen amount of phone calls with people complaining that they can't get access to the, in front of the school, or there's no parking, and that also affects the surrounding neighborhoods as well. I just was curious to see if there's any way that we can work around it.
I do personally plan on being in the area at the time. Again, it's about a 2-hour dry time for the material that's going down, so I'm very confident that by the end of the day that will be opened up, and I will be there to kind of make sure of that. The only thing I can really foresee it hindering is going to be parking that day on Yosemite. And you're right, Sacramento, San Joaquin, those will be a little bit busier streets for the day. But for the outcome that we're getting for it, I think it's worth it.
Have we done any sort of outreach to those two streets to let the neighbors know that?
Yes, definitely we have. And also the contractor is actually Wednesday of this week going out and placing SB1 signage and then going out and doing door hangers to let the folks in the area know that they will be here next week.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Any other questions of staff? Any other updates from the staff? Is that it? That's it? Thank you very much. Next up, we have matters presented from the audience. The public may address the city council on any item that is on the agenda at the time the item is called. The public may also address the city council on any item not on the agenda that is within the subject matter of the city of Escalon. Each speaker is limited to a maximum of 5 minutes. Unused time may not be yielded to another speaker. You may state your name and address for the record. However, it is not required. Due to state law, action will not be taken on an item that is not on the agenda, and except for brief responses, the council is prohibited from discussing any item not on the agenda. If it requires action, it will be referred to staff and/or placed on a future agenda. The determination of whether an item is within the subject matter of the city is a discretionary decision made by the mayor. And at this point, we have it open to the public. If you'd like to come to the podium and ask questions.
Mayor, council, staff, first of all, Justin, thank you for what you do for our community. You do excellent stuff.
Thank you.
As well as most of the staff here, they all do. Galen, do you do updates on the webpage? Because I'm trying to find information all the time, and I'm looking for information regarding the surface water treatment plant. And I didn't see anything in there in terms of what happened last week's meeting.
Besides the minutes, we don't necessarily provide an update from something that was presented at council.
I read the minutes, okay, but I was looking for more information. The surface water treatment plant, to me, has been a big, big thing that I'd like to keep track of, make sure that we don't end up in a situation we shouldn't be. And some of my concerns are that we really, truly never knew what this thing's gonna cost, number one. We never identified a funding source, number two. Number three, it's one of those things where you have to ask yourself, why is the city of Escalon sharing the blunt of this thing, and why isn't this thing part of the county's responsibility? Because when the city of Escalon does, in fact, ever get this, if they do, in fact, they're going to relieve a lot of the water from the basement for other sources around us, and yet they're not going to pay a dime for it, and the city taxpayers are going to be paying for all of it. So I don't understand why we never looked into sharing the responsibilities outside the city limits, since they're going to benefit just as much as the city or more. We're going to be paying and they're not. So that's something I never could understand, why that thing never got looked at it from that perspective, rather than shoving it down the taxpayer's throat. So my next question is, do you do updates? And if you do, where would I find them?
We don't specifically do any other written update.
How do people keep track of these types of projects, if we're interested?
Yeah.
Aren't they in the minutes every time that we get an update every
The
quarter?
minutes don't really go beyond fundamental, nothing in detail. For example, I don't know what the water rates are going to be if in fact we do it. I don't know where the loans are coming from. All of that information is not made available in the minutes. Now, it was there in the meeting, but I wasn't at the meeting. So that information would be nicely posted.
My understanding is that we're currently getting that all together. So we're looking into grant options.
I understand that. We discussed that, and you told me all that information. I appreciate that. But
Yeah.
I would like to have where I could go and read it and keep updated on it. So I have questions, I'd like to be involved in it. It's important to me as well as it should be to anybody in this town.
Yeah, understandable.
Can we publish the presentation like we do with our workshop?
Yeah, we can certainly publish presentations. I will offer staff, I am always available. Our numbers, email addresses are certainly available online. Happy to have a phone call or a sit-down meeting with anyone who has a question about any of the projects that we present.
Good to know. Well, I didn't know if you're available, and I didn't want to overburden you with a lot of stuff that you haven't got time for.
Always available.
Okay, good. Parklands, I understand we're leased out, we're going out to RFPs on the parkland, which is a good idea. Now, the parkland, on the 7.5 acres we have, I was wondering if the city could look into maybe selling our current public works, taking the money from that and moving them out to 7.5 acres, because that's an ideal location for them. We would have forever, we wouldn't need to upgrade that forever, and we would have it out of the way. We'd have plenty of room to do leaf and stuff, and we'd put leaves and composting out there. We could build a metal shed for the cost of the sale of the property, a nice one, and you could put a septic tank or just have portable pondies, because basically you don't need much until we got more money that we could invest into it. But in the meantime, we'd open up that property for a new business possibly, but meanwhile, we're gonna handle the public service. Public works will be set for years to come. So I'd like the staff to consider looking at that as well as the council. The park downtown, I understand that there's a dilemma there with us, and we're gonna invest money in there, and then they're gonna try to charge us more to rent the property, so obviously we're not gonna be doing much more into that. Hopefully we'll take that money and get some benefit from it, maybe sidewalks or something. Those are kind of the concerns I have, but most importantly was the surface water treatment plant. I really want to know more about that. Because I tell you, I think it's a serious situation that we could get ourselves into trouble if we're not careful.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll find some time in a week or two and sit down and talk with you if I could. Okay?
Yep.
I appreciate that. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Anybody else in the audience or online that would like to speak to the council tonight?
Good evening. I just have a few things. Selena, is there the audit from 2020 to 2021 is the last audit that's available on the website? Is there a more recent one that can be put on there or that's
I
available?
wish there was.
So there has not been an audit since then still?
No, there
It's
hasn't.
ongoing. The company that we're using is not one that was chosen by any of the management that's here now. They have been incredibly slow. We're not pleased with the outcome of that. It's held us up in a few different areas, but they are working on it, and I'm continually providing them with what they ask for. And
So if you look at the history, for 10 years, they were using that Norman and something company, and then it suddenly changed, and I believe that was only the first or second time that we were using them. Is it possible to consider going back? I mean, there should be no reason why we haven't had an audit since 2020, 2021.
And these are things where we have contracts in place, so we'd have to wait for that. So there's other things to consider there. One of them would be the contract, and then we have to finish up the audit year that they are providing for us now so we can go forward. It has held us up on a few different areas.
Okay.
So it's not a happy thing, but hopefully they'll get it done. As they are asking me for new items, I'm stopping everything I'm doing, providing it to them, sending them email after email, getting back to them twice a week. I just have a reminder on my phone, and she probably doesn't like me very much, but hopefully she'll get it done.
Chief, is it possible to have, I don't know if you put this on here, you can't read it even when you zoom in, and there lists one, in the legend, one icon for one theft, no
Yes.
other crime on here. But the total incidence is more than that.
I don't put identity theft and fraud cases on the map. Because it would be the victim's address. Because a lot of them are phone calls. Like if you get a phone call, I don't put that on the map. The only thefts I put on the map are thefts from an actual location. Not thefts by fraud and identity theft. Unless I'm...
Okay, it doesn't, but even so, there's,
So,
but the burglaries on here, they're not listed either?
whoops.
I guess more importantly, just making sure this is not an error. It's intentional that only one
So do you have
is on the map.
Yes, do you have the full agenda packet?
I do.
So on the previous page, it'll have the theft. So there were 4 thefts. One's a fraud, one's a petty theft, another's a fraud, and then a fraud and identity theft. So the only one that's on there is the petty theft that was in the 2200 block of Edmart Street.
Got it.
And so that is the only, that's the only theft that happened last month. Like I said, last month was pretty uneventful. We had no burglaries, we had no vehicle thefts. We just had 4 petty thefts, or 4 thefts, and 3 of them were frauds. Without an actual.
So when you have stolen vehicle recovery, that you're not classifying as stolen vehicle?
So that wouldn't be stolen from within the city, so that wouldn't be a reported stolen vehicle from Escalon, so that wouldn't go.
Got it. Okay. Next, this is quite concerning for me. I looked at the kennel statistics for animal control, and as someone who's dealing with a current feral cat problem, I was advised by animal control that I could trap them and they would take care of them, and I was under the impression there were TNT programs. However, when I look at this, it states that the euthanasia that was required, and maybe Mr. Hagan can clarify for me, there were no required euthanasias for cats in Escalon, but we had 10 euthanasias of feral cats. So my question is, as someone who does not want to contribute to that, are all feral cats that are brought to the shelter being euthanized?
That would be a question specifically for animal control. I can look into that, but I'm not certain on the answer of that.
Okay, does anybody know what their program is?
My general understanding is they try to place every animal that's placeable. Some animals are too aggressive to place, and they try their best to behaviorally modify it, but there's some that you just can't.
And they have that mark. There's a category for aggression, category for behavior management, for their condition being severe, and a severe illness. The fact that they're feral, does that constitute an automatic?
No, it depends on how feral. I mean, there's varying degrees of how feral some animal is. So there are those that'll tear you up just being in the cage with it, and then those that they start that way at a 10, and you can kind of move them towards a 2, and then eventually can be placed. So I would think that they have I don't know for sure, but my assumption would be they have an internal person who assesses that and then kind of makes that decision.
It would be helpful to get clarification, because on the backside where it does say euthanasia required, it lists 0. So it almost seems as though these cats were euthanized, but it wasn't required that they be euthanized. And I understand if they're feral, they can't go in a home, but I thought that they were spaying, neutering them, and then releasing them back into a feral.
Well, there are TNR programs that are going on. They're just overran with, they're doing as much as they can.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
Anybody else from the audience? Okay, sure.
I might be making a fool of myself, but first. Good evening, everybody. My name's Jeff Riley. I'm a citizen of Escalon, and just was talking with some neighbors. Apparently, we potentially are in renegotiation of the convention center. Right now, we're using it for the Red Cross, from what I understand, and there's some talks that we might be opening it up to also the state using it, and if that's true or not, see, all right, just confirming it. Maybe my neighbor was wrong, so.
We did not confirm a contract with the Red Cross at the last meeting.
Okay, sounds good.
We initiated a process to dissolve that agreement with them.
All right. I apologize for not coming here more often, because I have no excuse to not do it.
No worries. Anybody else? Anybody online? Seeing nobody else, we're going to go ahead and move from matters presented from the audience on to administrative matters. Next up, item 6, introduction of the Escalon Consolidated Fire District 2x2 model. Who's got that one tonight?
I will. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
So the 2+2 committee concept, I will just give it 1 second.
Yeah.
Okay. The 2+2 committee concept is one that the city currently has with the school district, where two of our council members, not representing a majority or a quorum, meet with two board members from the school district, as well as, the appropriate staff to discuss, partner, just to basically go over various topics that are germane to each organization as well as the community in general. We do not have such a committee right now with the fire district, who is separate from the city, of course. And so this item was brought forward to staff through their fire chief to see if we were interested. They took an item to their board last month, and their board is interested, and so now this discussion is before you. If we did form a 2+2, it's probably monthly or quarterly meetings, depending on your appetite to meet and what items we have on the agenda, and it would be administered largely by staff. And again, we would meet and discuss any topics that are coordinated amongst the two bodies. So simple, straightforward item. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Can I say something?
Please.
I mean, to me, it sounds like a good idea. Anytime we can coordinate or better understand overlapping issues, the better it is for the community, if we're on the same page, in other words.
I think it'd be great collaboration. I'm not sure monthly would be enough. I would almost start off with a quarterly and see how it went, to not overburden anybody, whether it's our staff or their staff for that matter, and kind of see how it goes at a quarterly basis would my first thought. I think it'd be a good idea.
I think it's very evident that, to me at least, with talking with Chief Mello on different topics, that he really wants to bridge the gap. He noted to me that there is no gap with the line staff between Escalon Ambulance, Escalon Police, and Fire Department. So the line staff, they're obviously working together all the time. But one of the things that he has noticed while he's been chief is there seems to be a division between the city council and his board. And so I think this idea would bridge the gap. I mean, I can't speak for Mayor Pro Tem, but it's been my experience with the school district that there is no gap, and we share ideas collaboratively together and bounce ideas off of each other. I mean, this to me seems like a no-brainer. If the boards are working collaboratively together, or if the council works together with their board, I mean, it's a win-win, and ultimately it's the community and the constituents that win.
Are you looking for consensus then from the here to go ahead and move forward with them to see what we can do to put something together?
So these items that are brought forward like this, we generally classify them as consider. I think in this case, it'd be good to just get a motion and a second and vote on it, so we have clear direction moving forward.
My only question, Jalen, is when do you think that this would start? Because we have a couple council seats that are open this election, and I know they have a couple board member seats that are open. So would this be initiated after the election cycle?
I think it's a good question. I think if approved by this council, Chief Mello and I can get together and kind of talk about logistics, timing, coordinating with both of our governing bodies, so we can work out those details.
Okay.
I'd like to make
Real quick before we open that up, before we make a motion, I'd like to open that up to the floor, or the folks here in the room, if they have any questions or comments on this topic before we possibly go to a motion, or if there's anybody online that had any concerns or comments on this idea. I don't see anybody jumping to the podium, so It's all yours.
Well, I'd like to make a motion to pursue the collaboration with the fire district and what Mayor Bellinger had said as far as quarterly initially, see how it goes, and if we recognize that we need to be meeting more often, then we can change that in the future.
I will second that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
And Joanna just made a good point here. So obviously we'll have to have members on that 2+2. So depending on the timing, we can either incorporate that into all the other committee appointments that we have at the beginning of the year. If we happen to start sooner, then we can bring an item forward to get your votes on who will represent the council on that committee.
Okay. Thank you for that. Next up, item number 7. There's an agenda item request. Introduce and consider the agenda item request from Mayor Pro Tem Hagan, supported by Councilman Engel, to require supplemental training for staff and council members. I'll turn it over to you, Mayor Pro Tem.
Well, this is just a real simple concept in theory, I think. Basically, what I want to make sure is, whoever's sitting in the seat I'm sitting in at some point, or sitting in the seat that, staff sitting in, understands why they're sitting here, and they're here to protect and oversee the people that live in this town, and it's really important that we all understand what those rights actually are, and in order to protect those rights, we really have to know what they are, right? And so as we go through years down the road, maybe a new citizen comes in from a different country, has never had this kind of, teaching or seen our Constitution or understand what it is and why it's so important. So I think even though it may put a little bit extra time on our plates, I think it's important that we show the public that, we do know what their rights are, and that way they're comfortable.
This conference will now be recorded.
Ignore that, sorry.
And it's important that, we all are on the same page with that. And so my simple request, and Jeremy, I think, felt the same way, is that, that we make sure that everyone goes through that basic understanding through a basic training course, that they're free online, so they're not something that's going to cost the taxpayers money. And I even brought some constitutions here. So, so if you guys decide that we're good with that as a council, then I'd like to pass them out.
I don't think there's anything wrong with the idea of us doing training for that. If there's something online that's free, it's a good refresher considering how long most of us have been out of high school, I'm going to say, then haven't probably put our nose to that and then had a peek at that. It's not a normal thing that most people throw in front of them to read in the evening. So I don't think that'd be a problem to throw in that for us and staff, maybe every couple of years or something, kind of have a refresher training, kind of like all the other mandatory training that we get from our fine folks at the state level for all the other fun stuff we have to do every couple of years to tack on another one that might take a half hour or something like that, whatever it may be, to do an online training on that. If it's something like that we can find online to incorporate into our training, not sure what's out there, but I'd be in support of finding something to do that.
I have some questions.
Yes, sir.
So I agree with the idea of the refresher for the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, Declaration of Independence, and the importance of that. I am 100% in agreement with that. That's the supreme law of the land, and there's no disputing that from my standpoint. My question is, where does this stop as far as staff and council and commissions, et cetera, et cetera? The reason why I asked that question is because when we hired Celinda, the things that were noted that was that training, any extra trainings, any workshops, anything, et cetera, for this fiscal year has been suspended because the budget is so tight. And I understand that there are free programs, but I guess and now I ask you to put on your HR hat, does that have the potential to create an issue where council now mandates that folks are now required to take a U.S. Constitution class, but they can't take an online class to help them with their day-to-day jobs because, frankly, there's no money for it? Does that create an issue because we can't provide funding for them to do their jobs, but yet now they're required to do this Constitution class online?
Now, there's no issue, especially since there are several very nice online classes. Hillsdale College has one. There's all kinds of different ones. It would just be the employee's time. So if it was something that was a half an hour, it would fall right in line with any other onboarding videos that we might have.
Yeah. And then to Mayor Pro Tem, where do we stop the line for city staff? Do we want all police officers to do it? Do we want all public works folks to do it? I mean,
Well, to me, I think it's all staff. Chief, I would have to ask him what his thoughts are. I know he puts his police officers through some learning in that area, but I think, all staff, anyone that represents our city, I believe should know these rights. And, these are fundamental, inherent, God-given rights that we should all be aware of. And so I don't see it as a slippery slope. I see it as reinforcing why we're in the seats we're in and why they're deciding to serve the public, because it's a
I agree with
service.
that. My guess, as a follow-up to my last question, would that create any issue with our bargaining units? Because the contracts have already been signed and now we're inserting this extra training into their union contract.
I can't speak for any other departments, but we kind of have training constantly every 2 years. Our officers have to go through there's perishable skills training that they need to take every 2 years. We send them to Stanislaus County. It's a 40-hour stop course that covers all the perishable skills. So training is kind of part of the job. A short training on just a constitutional aspect of the Constitution, I don't think would be a hindrance to the department. I think it would also be a little beneficial. A lot of officers go to the academy and they're kind of told what all the different amendments mean, but they don't actually know what the amendments are, and they're not really interpreting them for themselves, and they don't know what they are. They know Fourth Amendment is search and seizure, but they don't know what it says. They know Fifth Amendment is right against self-incrimination, but there's more to it than that. So I think it would be beneficial for my department.
What about Public Works?
The only time you'll hear us say no is if it's a safety issue. We're more than willing to do whatever training you want to give us.
Sounds like some of those pocket guides, Mayor Pro Tem, need to go to Chief and to the police department.
I don't want to put the cart before the horse, but I'll give them to him.
Let's go ahead. Is there any other questions here on this topic before we open it up to the public on this item?
I don't have any questions. When Andy talked to me, Mayor Pro Tem Hagan approached me about this supplemental course. It just seemed to make perfect sense. We swore to an oath, right? And that was to uphold the Constitution. Same with our officers. City staff works for the people. I think it's right in line with their job. I don't think we're stepping out. A 30-minute training is fairly brief. I'd actually like to see something a little bit longer than that. It's going to be pretty difficult to go through the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and the Declaration of Independence in 30 minutes. So maybe they were 30 minutes each. But I think it's hugely important especially for us, the people back here behind the dais, understand what rights we are supposed to be upholding. And I'm totally on board with moving this forward, with the exception of, potentially lengthening the trainings just a little bit. I don't think 30 minutes is long enough. And as far as like a start or stop time, there are probably some logistics. So it wouldn't need to be something, in my opinion, that would need to start right away. If the incoming, if there are, in fact, 2 new incoming council members, and then we'd be looking at starting a new year with 2025. That seems like a potential good place to start. It gives us time to work that out, figure out what the courses are, how they're administered. Obviously, we can't just pull everybody at once, but, Public Works on Tuesday and Police Department on Wednesday, right? It gives us time to work through all of those things and then be effective. If we're just going to glance through it just to check a box, I don't believe that we're doing any of those documents or our citizens justice. So that's just my 2 cents. I think it's a great idea. Kind of like the mayor had mentioned, high school was a long time ago.
A bit ago for most of us.
30 years ago. I think kind of like Chief had alluded to, like we all remember parts, but we're maybe not taking it in full context, and it would be good for us to all have a better understanding.
Well, did you guys know that there are 3 folks that were at the Constitutional Congress that refused to sign the Declaration of Independence? I didn't know this till today when I tried to take the online class, and I got it wrong. And the reason that they refused to sign the Declaration of Independence is because they wanted the Bill of Rights inserted into that. And that's actually how the Bill of Rights came into the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. So I failed that question. So it sounds like I need some training.
All right, anybody in the audience that has any comments on this topic, please come to the podium.
Yes, I do. So I think I'm kind of the same. Jeff Riley again, our Escalon resident. I think a lot of us are the same age where we learned civics in high school. I'm retired San Jose Fire, and a lot of the firefighters that are young, police officers as well, don't really have the civics training that we used to in high school. And I think this is an awesome idea where they can get with the high schools that are no longer teaching, or a lot of them aren't. So props to you for doing this. I think that's really helpful that they can learn this.
Thank you.
Oh, it might be a short one. Hi, Sherry. Thank you for bringing this forward, and I would like to encourage you to, yes, make it longer than half an hour each. And I would love to see maybe a constitution handed to anybody who's going to be running for office. I think they should probably do that before they run for office. I know I read it, and I'd like to see it maybe even every year. It's our founding documents, and yet it's astounding to me how many people younger than me, which is most everybody, haven't even read it. They spout it off and say, oh, we stand on the Constitution, but haven't even read it, or the preamble. Couldn't quote it to you. It's not that long, but it's shocking to me. So the mere fact that we even have to bring this forward is kind of a shock to me as well, but thank you. Do it. Please do it.
Anybody else? Before we move forward, as this was a agenda item request, we're okay to go ahead and make motions and move this along. Should that be the direction that we go? We don't have to move this to another meeting, correct? Just to make sure we're following proper procedure here on this one.
Yes, I would recommend putting this on the next item. I do want to address the council members' questions regarding whether there are any HR issues related to bargaining, and so I wanted to ensure that we confirm that and relay that to council prior to council taking action.
So we can recommend that we move this to the next meeting so that we can have a chance to follow up on those questions?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, are we good with that up here at the dais then? All right, we have the direction for the staff on that item then. Great, thank you very much for the assistance on that.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, can I have one of those constitutions, please?
Yeah. If you don't want one, just let me know. All right. assume.
While we're doing that, we're going to go ahead and move to council communications. If, Mr. Stroman, you want to start us off tonight?
Sure. I keep it brief. Just want to, as Justin said, this week's the last farmer's market. So hopefully have a big turnout from there. And Jenny, thanks for everything you've done for the city for the last few years. Just really want to make a point to thank you for the quality of the minutes that you've done recently. I mean, they're very, very, very well done, and anybody can pick up the minutes and read exactly what was happening, and that was lacking for a long time before you took over. And so you will definitely be missed, but we wish you all the best. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Councilman Walker.
Yeah, I'll also keep it brief, but thank you for bringing up the issue of our audits. Our staff has been doing a great job in coming current with budget. Our budget had been behind, and staff worked very hard, very diligently to get budget so that we are running on time with budget so that we can pass that in that July. It is I'm under the impression, as I had been coming in, that a true audit would come in the February, March, after the close of one budget. That is the next audit, and we are very behind, and it's part of what coming in here, when we came in here, was our job to get us back up to date. So I would like that, I know that you got it on text, and it's not just up to you, but it is something that we are aware that we are trying to get back up to. It was a problem before we got here, and we are trying to push that so that audits can, the 21-22 should have been coming in March 23, and we got here and it wasn't here. So we've gotten the last one, that 2021 was the last one, correct? We got that one, and then we got to push, and we're just behind on it. So thank you for bringing that up, and it is something that is on our minds, and I do want that to be known that that is something we're going forward with, trying to get everything back up to date. So budgets are up to date, audits are the next, and we'll be looking to make sure that either the company that's doing it now can get it together and get it up to date, or at least, sorry, I can't speak for everybody, but this is a concern of mine, or that we can look after this contract is up to look for somebody that can be more efficient in getting our audits in there so that we can pass a budget that is relevant and that has to do with how we are meeting everything. So thank you for bringing that up, and I am happy to speak on that. The other is thank you for bringing the Constitution. I tout myself as a constitutionalist. I enjoy reading the Constitution. And we do, when we take the oath, it is to protect the Constitution, which if you're up here and you don't know what it says, then that would be a problem. So at least counselors need to be reading the Constitution, but hopefully staff member as well. And thank you so much for receiving it so well to the heads of staff today. So I appreciate that. And with that, that's it for today. So thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
Can we give, on the subject of the audits, can we give this company a deadline and tell them we need it by X? Otherwise, we just terminate the contract? Because, I mean,
It's not quite that simple. We can. I mean, we can tell them whatever we want. They might still not do it in a timely fashion. But
because honest,
when the contract does come up, that is an item of concern that we're looking at.
and I know I already had my 5 minutes, but I think you're working so hard, Celinda, that we need to tell them, look, give us the damn audit or we're moving on.
I think we're long past the point of moving on in some manner. We've had this conversation with the consultant before I got here and since. There's just outstanding work, and payment's been made, and that's one thing we can look at how that happened, but payment's been made. We're just waiting for the outstanding work. I think the consultant is well aware that we're not pleased with the status. We can't switch at this point, so we need to stick through for this one. We will get the information as fast as humanly possible, and then we will assess what to do with the next audit, whether we go out for RFP or whatever avenue we pick. But we will ensure that we work timeliness into part of the contract with the next consultant.
You think it would behoove this council if we asked the consultant to come before the council and speak why they're dragging their feet to not only this council, but to the public?
Not sure if that'll do any good at this point, honestly.
I honestly don't think it will do any good. The best we can do is trickle this contract out and be done with them.
I don't think anybody's going to willfully come to a city council meeting to get berated.
The problem is we are so behind that it's a hustle up. It's like, it's, what did we say, 2021? And this has to do with a lot of changing of staff issues, right? We had a whole bunch of changing of staff that just was going, and so it was a miscommunication between all of the financials and everything, and then the auditor themselves. Because we have budget internally, we could hurry up, and that's what you guys have been doing and hustling. And because this is outside, we have to, we have to, the problem is with a new audit company, they have to hit the ground running. We have to find somebody to hurry up and take all of this old information that's years old now and try to put that all together. So it will be it'll be a problem to solve. So it's not going to be easy, but we're going to get there.
Councilman Engel.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Sure, I got a few things on here, but I'll try and be quick because, wow, 8, 10. All right, give me 90 seconds. Somebody put it on the clock. All right, number one, I just want to thank everybody for putting up with me last week on the video. I didn't realize, or last meeting on the video, I didn't realize that my sick self was going to be plastered up there. I might have tried to do something about that. Second, I want to say congratulations and thank you to the Senior Fund Bunch. It's a great service that they provide for our community. I was really impressed to hear 80 members at that last meeting and 200 out of the newsletter. That's phenomenal. Third, Jenny, best wishes to you. Thank you for everything that you've done here. And probably too soon, but I have to ask the question, do we have a plan for backfill for our next meeting? Will somebody be able to sit in and do as good of a job as Jenny has done for us the last several meetings?
Well, I can't speak to the last part of that, but yeah, we received the email on Friday. I started calling consultants who can provide stopgap services for us until we get the recruitment out, until we can hire, which is going to take, a couple months at least. So we are exploring different options. We do have 3 staff members who have done the work in the past. So amongst consultants and our staff, we definitely are developing a plan in the first couple of days since the notice has been provided.
And I will still provide the minutes from this meeting, and the packet for next meeting will be done by me.
Perfect. Thank you, Jenny, very much. 2 more quick items. Earlier we heard about minutes from the last meeting, not including the presentations. I may be incorrect, but I want to say under the last city manager, presentations being published along with agendas was brought up. Is that too much of a request that anytime we have a workshop or a presentation that it gets published alongside of that meeting's agenda packet? Maybe not before, right? Because, there's a presentation to be had, but when we update and go the following week, that it could be uploaded and it would be in the same location as the previous agenda.
As a blanket statement, I'll just say it depends on the presentation, but for that presentation in particular, there's no reason we cannot provide that as part of the either agenda packet or as.
I think it's the minutes. I think when it does or in the past, it's been with minutes and the presentations that go along with it. That's
or with
okay.
the minutes.
Yeah, I would ask why any other presentation, if presented publicly at a council meeting, would pose an issue to publish since it should be public record.
I think one situation might be if it's a presentation by someone who's other than staff, that would not normally be a presentation that's in the possession and custody of the city, so it would not fall within the California Public Records Act. It may also, I don't know if there are other concerns with other content. Presumably, yes, if it's presented in a public meeting, there should not be an issue. But again, that may depend on the situation.
I'm having a hard time understanding that because our meetings are supposed to be recorded and then able to be rewatched. So if it's out there and it's being spoke about, but you can't see any of the infographics or any of the other information, maybe it's just being summarized, right? So there's just some key touching points and there's just a few words said over a large page of statements. Seems like that would be being left out without having public record of what was actually presented to council and to residents.
Yeah, this is not a large sticking point for me. I was trying to be most clear, but there's no reason that we can't. So if that is not the direction, we will start adding the presentations, either part of the agenda or part of the minutes. That's not a problem. We have done things like on our website, have the projects, the major infrastructure projects as a key tab on top of the website, and we're trying to put information on there. We'll go back and make sure everything is on there. We have no problem sharing information about any of the projects that we're working on or anything that we've presented. So that's not a large sticking point, and we will do that moving forward.
I appreciate that. Do we need consensus or anything, or that can just be a request and be followed up on?
I think
Fantastic. Thank you. I know I'm over my 90 seconds now, but one last thing. Chief, earlier during the animal control report, it was mentioned that you may have the ability, or that you would maybe follow up on the euthanasia thing. I didn't happen to come across that when I went through the animal control report. So I'm curious about that. Will you be looking into that and reporting on that at the next meeting?
Yeah, I can report on it next meeting. Okay. I was going to follow up and look into it. I was just going to reach out directly, but I can follow up at the next meeting.
Yeah, that would be great. I'm curious. I think there's a lot of folks similar to what problem that Gabrielle is having. We have a lot of feral cats. I mean, I don't think that's a mystery to anybody in town. But I know a lot of those folks, myself included, don't necessarily want them euthanized. And if that's just standard protocol when a capacity is met, or it'd be interesting to know what it is, and what you were saying, Mayor Pro Tem, about the potential of them being feral to a point where they couldn't be rehabilitated. I understand there is a place for that. I would just want to make sure that we're just not trapping cats and then they're just being disposed of.
I do know some of them are like, depending on where they are, like in a level of feral. Some are, barn cats and replaced. I mean, you could truly TNR and just, and then put them back in the spot you found them.
Right.
But that wouldn't really fix a lot of the husbandry issues, that you're seeing. So it's kind of a rock and a hard place. I see for these people, because they only have so much capacity to house them, and I know they're trying to work on the potential for increasing that capacity. It's been in talks on that board. But
yeah, the TNR totally makes sense to me. It's a generational stop, right?
Yeah,
Husbandry stops at that generation. So.
So they're doing that. There's multiple groups they're working with that actually do a lot of that stuff. But I have groups that come through my office too, where we do, help them, neuter and spay and that kind of thing. So it's but the problem is it's so wide and deep that it's it's just not going as ideal as you'd want it to,
It's understandable.
Unfortunately.
There are a lot.
Yeah, so it's well, they're like rabbits sometimes, you know, they,
Yeah.
one, or two feral cats can have up to three, a female can have up to 3 litters a year. And if you do the math on that, right, you got, you know, somewhere between 5 and 8 kittens, and they're being able to have kittens within 4 to 6 months. Before you know it, you've got 100 cats on your property like that.
So you've been to my neighborhood.
So, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem.
I understand your plight. Let's put it that way.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Yeah.
I think what would be helpful is at your next meeting with the animal shelter, it's a major inconvenience for Escalon residents to have to go over and take these cats to Oakdale. Can we, because the city is paying them, can we ask them that they might consider doing a program specifically here in Escalon?
You mean like drive over here and pick up the cats, you mean? Or what do you mean?
Or you
'Cause I know we originally changed the contract because we were having some financial issue, or I think covering financial decisions to make with covering staff, I want to say, was the big issue, was having enough staff in that building, wasn't it?
Well, they're putting a big burden on, I mean, I'll stop talking about cats, but they're putting a really big burden on our residents because they're making all of our residents take everything over, whereas we're paying for a service. Shouldn't they be coming here to our community to try to help?
I mean, in theory, yes.
Okay.
It's all a matter of
That's
money.
all I'm asking. Can we approach them with that idea? Because to put that burden on our residents, it's like, why are we paying for this?
Chief, when we have animal control issues now, they come out, right?
Yes, so as of right now, they've got some pretty severe staff issues. I think they're normally slated for 4 animal control officers. Last I talked to her a few weeks ago, they're down to 1. And so they cover 3 cities, Oakdale, Riverbank, and Escalon, and she's got to manage the shelter. And they're in the process of hiring, but as of right now, she is by herself, working 3 cities.
The last, I'm sorry. I was going to make one last statement. I know it's not my time, sorry.
You're fine.
I just was saying, the last time we had it open, it was primarily ran by volunteers, and then that became an issue. And then I believe there was issues with getting, proper staffing in there, because in order, these are animals that have to be fed, watered, cleaned, all that kind of stuff. So it can't be something that can be done sporadically. It has to be on a consistent timeline. So yes, next time I am there, I can ask that question as to what their game plan would be to potentially fix that.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Just mention real quick, when we check with animal control, we'll ask about them coming out for feral cats. Their initial reaction was they don't do that. They don't come out for feral cats, and that, it would be a trap but we can ask kind of if that's a staffing issue or if that's just a general policy. We'll get a little more detail on that.
If we're paying them, they need to step up their game if they can. That's my point. Anyways.
Well, as I said, right now, they've got severe staffing issues. Before they had these staffing issues, we had an animal control officer who was at the police department here in Escalon at least 4 days a week. And for several hours a day, I think she was putting in more hours here than our part-time animal control officers that we had prior. But like I said, due to staffing, and they're down to 1 animal control officer. Last time I spoke with her, she's got to run the shelter out of Oakdale, so she doesn't have anybody running the shelter at Oakdale. She can't be here. And she goes out on calls when she can.
You didn't see that line in your contract that says once you become chief, you're now the official cat man of Escalon?
I've picked up my share of cats in my day.
Do you have anything else, Councilman Engel?
No, I apologize for turning that into 12 minutes. I know, I said 90 seconds.
Mayor Pro Tem Hagan.
I just wanted to say yet again, great meeting tonight. Everyone's working together, problem solving. It's nice to see. And Jenny, we'll miss you. You've been doing a great job. So good luck with your future endeavor here. Hopefully it goes really well for you.
I'll still be an Escalon resident, so.
We'll see you then. Other than that, I didn't have much else to add tonight.
Great, thank you. Just real quick, again, congrats to the Senior Fun Bunch and everybody here that supports that from all staffing levels. I know everybody's got a piece of helping them out be successful. Looking forward to their continued success for our community. Jenny, all the best in the future. And then also for anybody, just as another reminder about Farmers Market on Wednesday, last one of the year. So let's make it a good one for all our vendors that have been supporting our town and coming out and helping us out with getting those good things that they bring to us. And with that, good night, everybody.